Hi, Terry. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So everyone out there, start submitting your questions for Terry. Meanwhile, we'll kick things off with a bit of a refresher.
Okay.
The show returns tonight. Can you just remind us where we left off last season?
Oh my goodness. Well, let's see. Callie has once again made a rather fantastic decision to get herself involved in, trying to save a friend, and gotten herself involved with it's a human trafficking storyline, and Steph is desperately racing to try and find her and save her once again. Mariana is still kicking butt and taking names, trying to stop the privatization of Anchor Beach Charter School, and let's see, Jesus is dealing with his TBI. He's a little upset with Brandon and Emma because he thinks something is going on between the two of them, which, we shall see. So it's, in true Foster form, it picks up the second we left off at the end of the fourth season. So it's it's a nail biter.
Will Callie's situation and you trying to save her with the sex trafficking, will that be resolved in the first episode when we come back?
I'm not telling you that. That's a big old spoiler. You got to watch the show, and then you got to watch the second episode, the third episode, the fourth episode to see what happens.
Sex trafficking obviously is such a heavy issue. Like, will we see more lighter issues that the family tackles the rest of the season?
Oh, absolutely. Joanna Johnson was talking yesterday about the fact that, we return a little bit more to family this year or this season. Steph does deal with, because that's her job. She's become a detective, and so she is dealing with her job, which has a lot to do with human trafficking, also dealing with the detective that tried to take her down last season. She's still got him in her sights. But it does weigh a little bit on her marriage, and they deal with what it does to her, their marriage, and how people's jobs sometimes take over a little bit, which is a very common theme, regardless of who you are and what job it is that you have. And the toll that it takes on the family, and what's happening to the family that maybe Steph is not necessarily seeing. And poor Lena feels like she's kind of left to take care of everything.
Speaking of Lena, her parents are coming back to town. Can you tease their return? Like, what can we expect from them?
Oh, they're back in rare form as usual. Kind of like Steph's parents. They just come in a whirlwind and they leave everything. Anyway, a disaster. Lorraine and, oh my God, why am I blanking? Stuart? Well, Stuart. I can't remember. That's horrible. They come back, and I don't want to say too much about the storyline because it's actually an important topic in regards to aging and getting older, having your parents age, and you think, gosh, I never thought this would happen to me. These are my parents. This is a difficult subject. Again, we're still dealing with the issue of the house and the money and the trust and the money that they've lent us and et cetera. So, that's another theme. We have new neighbors moving in next door whom I happen to know back from high school. And that's an interesting storyline, and what kind of havoc that wreaks upon Steph and Lena. Strong as ever. Don't worry, anybody. We're getting through. Just challenges like everybody sees.
When was do you recall the moment you realized that this show's now heading into its fifth season, a moment where you realized that this is something really special?
There have been a lot of those moments. First, before we even started, was when, was it Million Moms or something like that? Before we'd even started airing, it came out with just, the subject matter is horrible. And it was like, well, thanks for the free publicity. Because, A Million Moms, that it was really more like about 100 moms that were, and just really...
Without knowing what it was.
Yeah, without even having seen it, without knowing what it was. And it really, I think, intrigued people and made someone who wouldn't necessarily have watched it in the first place watch it. then I think a lot of the moments were just being in the grocery store, being at Ralph's, being at Vaughn's, being at Trader Joe's, being at IKEA, and having everyone from a teenage girl to their little brother to a grandmother to a gay man to a lesbian woman to a transgender all come up to me, in any walk of life, saying, your show is just wonderful and I can't get enough of it. You're representing my granddaughter. You are representing me. You have made it okay. I'm giving myself goosebumps. God, love me. I was telling my friend Nick that I'll never forget this, being in IKEA, and this wonderful woman came up to me and was shaking, crying, and gave me the biggest hug and said, thank you so much. This is my life. I am transgender. My husband and I are trying to have want to have a baby. I can't. So therefore, we're thinking of fostering, to eventually adopt. It's like, she goes, everything that you are showing on your show is encompassing my life. And I'm so grateful that you are showing that this just is. It's not tolerate me or accept me. This is. Get over it. My mother, just on the phone the other day, said that a friend of hers, I can't remember if it was her husband or a friend's husband or a relative's husband, what have you, was very conservative man. And because of knowing this person that knew my mom, decided that they would watch the pilot and has now caught up on every single season, is waiting for the show. He's madly in love with everybody, has changed his mind, his outlook, his view, and that to me is a huge success. We've changed one mind because one person branches out to two people, branches out and covers the world. And so there are a lot of instances every day that I go, this is changing people's lives. This is changing people's points of view. This is changing people's minds. And especially in this day and age, and the temperature and the climate that we are living in the United States especially, is beyond important, and must continue.
That's amazing. We have a bunch of fans coming questions right now. Javier just wants asked, do you have a notion of the love that Brazil has for you?
I spilled on their rug. I do. I see your guys as you're always asking for us to send love and to send kisses. And do you see us here in Brazil? And we do. We see every single one of you, and we're so grateful. Very, very grateful.
Elizabeth has a comment. I love your hair.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Thank you.
Renee wants to know, will we see more loving scenes between Steph and Lena this season?
I certainly hope so, Renee. I certainly hope so, because let me tell you, there's nothing like getting cozy with Sherry Som. Yeah, we get back to a little bit of that, definitely. There have been a lot of people, Renee, that have asked for that, and I think they're trying to deliver and trying to show, again, that our relationship is successful and still strong no matter what challenges we face.
R. Todd says, you're a great actor, loved all your roles in Sports Night and West Wing, and looking forward to more Fosters. What's your favorite TV role so far?
Oh, my goodness. Well, seriously, absolutely not to say it just because I'm on the show right now, but this, without a doubt, is definitely, I would say, in my top two. It's kind of a toss-up between West Wing and Sports Night, and thank you for mentioning those, because Sports Night made me a better actress, and it was unfortunate that it didn't really catch on. I think a lot of people were thrown off by the name Sports Night when it just encompassed so much more. And working with Aaron Sorkin and Thomas Schlamme was amazing. And then West Wing, just because that show was absolutely iconic. And working with Jimmy Smits as my husband, whom God broke the mold when they made Jimmy Smits, is a gentleman and a scholar, and he's an extraordinary man. So that was a lot of fun to work on as well.
Katina wants to know, out of all the seasons, what was the most difficult issue to film?
I would say I would say facing the possibility that when Lena kissed Monty, facing the possibility of infidelity in the relationship. For me personally, that's a tough subject. That's a tough, and I think I've talked about it before, where the scene where I asked her if she kissed Monty was one of the hardest scenes to keep in. I just wanted to sob, and they were like, "Yeah, you need to bring it back, Teri. You're chewing the scenery." It was so difficult for us to shoot that, and then afterwards, Sherry and I literally hugged for about 5 minutes afterwards, because it was so difficult to feel that anger and that hurt towards her, knowing that it wasn't really real, but you've got to kind of make it real in order to reach that point. So that was really difficult for me. I don't know what hers was, but I'm sure it was when she had to deal with losing her baby, Lena losing the baby. But I'll let her speak for herself when she's here next.
Jennifer wants you to tell us more about Steph and Lena's new neighbors.
Let's see what I can tell. Like I said, I happen to know one of the new neighbors, and she goes back to my high school days, and so it's going to be a challenge. They're lovely people. We of course invite them over for dinner, as we always do. And what can I say? Huh? Oh, they have a son. Oh, that's true. That, of course, one of our lovely lady daughters sets her sights on. So that's an interesting storyline throughout the entire first half of the season. She's working hard at it. Mariana's working hard on that one. And, of course, a wrench gets thrown into that. You'll see that. That's funny. That's good stuff.
Both Caitlin and Javier want to know, how are you similar to your character, Steph, and also how are you different?
I look a lot like Steph. It's really uncanny. It freaks me out sometimes when I see Steph on camera. I'm like, whoa, that's me. We're both fierce, fierce, fierce mothers. That is the be-all and end-all. We also both get pretty passionate and hyper-focused when it comes to something that we love and are defending or feel righteous about. The publicity people at Freeform can tell you all about that one. We're different. Geez, that's a good question. How are we different? Steph keeps a lot in. She doesn't communicate some things. She goes and does things on the sly. She doesn't talk to Lena. I'm a big communicator. Mm-hmm. I make sure everything is out there on the table, good, bad, ugly, or otherwise. I try to teach my children that it's going to be a lot less painful if you tell the truth and be honest and open and communicate than if you lie, keep things in, and that's found out. You're going to get in way bigger trouble if I find out you're lying. So I'm really big on communication. I don't really have a big filter. Steph doesn't either, but she keeps a lot back, which I don't agree with.
Christina wants to know, do you have more tattoos than the one on your arm?
Yes, Christina, I sure do. I'm inked everywhere, places you'll never see, baby. I'm kidding. I have a huge tree on my back. I've got my son on my side. Where else do I have tattoos? I've got one on my neck that when I cut my hair short, the makeup artist, my lovely makeup artist, Camille, just was like, I took a deep breath and went, so I'm going to have to cover this every day, am I? So I have one on my neck as well that you haven't seen because it's covered. Also, when I got the tree on my back, I have to say that Joanna and Bradley and Peter were not happy at all. But I said that just means that you guys get to see more of Sherry Som, because Sherry will have to be on top and not me. I'm stupid. I know what I'm doing.
Mandy asks, you mentioned great shows like Sports Night and The West Wing, and The Fosters no doubt has a younger demographic. How is that different in terms of responsibility and the fan response?
Very excellent question. I'm a huge fan of education, whether you're educating children or adults, mind you, because let me tell you, we as adults need education as well. The perfect example of that, and I've told this story many times, is one weekend I got a free purse for Sherry, and I was going to work on Monday morning bright and early, and I went out to my car, and in the driveway my daughter comes running out, and she was 4 at the time, I guess. She comes running out with the purse and says, "Mommy, Mommy, Mommy, you forgot the purse for your wife." And to me that says it all, in that we are educating our children. We are showing our children that this is, period. There should be no such word as tolerance. You don't tolerate. There's no such word as acceptance. This is. And so we are showing as adults who and what and how you should be when you grow up to be an adult, and how you should think and how you should see and how you should view. And it's an extraordinary show in this time to do that for this generation. This is going to be a beautiful generation that grows up, these next couple generations that are seeing this show, growing up and creating a new being, a generation of new human beings in the way what they see and what they value and how they love.
Speaking of which, there's a lot of comments coming in.
About how fabulous I look at the age of 70.
Yes, of course. About Kylie says she came out because of the show, so thank you.
Thank you, Kylie. You're
Megan says the show has inspired her to foster.
Oh, wonderful. That's fantastic. A child out there is going to thank you.
Haley says the show helped me to understand that being adopted is okay and there's nothing wrong with me.
Absolutely not. You are perfect.
Juanita asks, of all the kids that you act alongside with, who do you get more attached to?
Oh, that's so not fair. Honestly, honestly, and I think everyone has heard us say this, and of course people are going to say, "Oh, that's what they're supposed to say." We are all very close. We all have an enormous affection for each other. There has in 5 seasons, or 4.5 seasons, 5.5 seasons. What?
5.
5. Well, I mean, it hasn't been that many years. I mean, there has never been any kind of, fight. There's no divas. There's no, I'm not going to be in a scene with her, all that kind of stuff that you hear gossiping. Yes, there have been times when there have been disagreements, but we always, talk it out. And this is me. I'm like, you will communicate with me or I'll take you by the scruff and take you out and back and kick your butt. They're an extraordinary group of I call them kids because I'm an old fart, but an extraordinary group of young adults whom are talented, whom are smart, who care. So there are no favorites. The group of them collectively are my favorite group of young adults to have worked with in this business. They're extraordinary people. Yeah.
Sarah asks, who besides you is the goofiest on set?
I would say that was, goofiest. I would say, honestly, surprisingly enough, that would be a tie between Sherry. I know. Mm-hmm. She has all y'all snowed. I have video of her that she would not be happy with that I have. And Maya is a ding dong and a half sometimes. She makes me laugh so hard. And she's a little bit of a devil too. Yeah.
Andrea says, girl, you do look good.
Thank you, honey.
And lots of people are asking you to come back to Twitter.
I knew that was
Is that ever going to happen?
I'd said something before in an interview on the red carpet, and I think some people got offended by that and were a little hurt by that comment. I had said that it was too much of a responsibility, and I want to clarify that. I am someone, like I said, who cares a lot, very much when I set out in an endeavor. And so I cared too much, I think, not too much in the sense of in a negative way. I care so much about everyone that I would talk to, and every tweet I would make sure that it was the right thing in the right way, and if it wasn't, I wouldn't tweet it, and reached out to people and helped people, or felt like I was helping people, tried to in any case. And it literally became my children, my doodlebugs, you guys know them, hashtag doodlebugs, began to complain and be upset because you spend more time on Twitter than you do with us. And I went, I'm neglecting my children. I'm neglecting my life that I have to lead. I have to, I may be what people envision as being a movie star or a television star or what have you, but I'm not. I'm a mom first. And I realized that I can do it all, but I can't do it all. And so if I can't give 110%, I have to step back. And so in doing so, it took that feeling away from, I let go of that feeling of being responsible to take care of everything and everyone, because as much as I want to and as much as I try, I can't. I'm hoping that everyone out there knows that I've reached out to and that talks to me. I do look at Twitter. I do still look at it. I've told a couple of people that I still troll it, honeys. I still see your tweets. I just cannot get to all of you. And because I can't get to all of you, I'm going to sit back and see you and read, but I can't necessarily respond. I do see you and I do appreciate what you say, but I have to live my life with my children. That's priority to me. Mm-hmm. Not that you guys aren't priority. I love you. Like I said, I see you. I swear on my life I do.
And we have time for 2 more questions. What has been your favorite message that's been given throughout the show, and that was asked by Abigail?
Wow, Abigail, that's a difficult question. I think just the overall, and I've said this from the beginning, that no one can tell you who you can or should love. No one can tell you their definition of love. No one can put their beliefs on you. You are you. You have the right. You have the power. You have the ability to be you and love and ask to be loved the way you want to. Love is love. There's no singular definition of love. It's it just is, and that's everyone is allowed to love who and what and where and when and why they want to.
And finally, Chloe wants to know, what does your tree tattoo mean?
It means tree? No, I'm kidding. It's I call it my tree of life. Now, a tree of life is usually symmetrical and within a circle. I'm a bit of an asymmetrical person. I'm a little off kilter, and I just kind of wanted to have some movement to it. So it's my tree of life. I've been obsessed with trees since I was a little girl. When I would draw trees, and there are 2 leaves on my tree, one for each kid. They got to choose which branch they wanted to put their tree on. And when they have children, I will add leaves for those children. You guys better have children. I'll add leaves on for there. So that's what that means.
Awesome. And thank you. Thanks for being here today.
Absolutely.